It's going to be hard to do this podcast without swearing.
I agree. So, hi, Connor.
Hi, Trenton. Welcome to Switching Reels.
You stole it. Good job. You're too fast for me. All right. At that point, you had to ask me.
I don't remember what you asked.
Yeah. Okay. What did we watch today?
Oh, yeah. We watched Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So this is
that was really good.
Yeah.
Actually. And so this is number 9, 8.
I've lost track.
Because we did all the funky stuff with Lord of the Rings. I think it's 8.
Okay.
I think Return of the King was 7.
Yeah.
So,
we're going to have to get a list printed out so that we can keep track of this a little better.
Pop it somewhere. Yeah. Absolutely. Good job. We've done it. We've gone to 8.
Yeah.
We've gone past 8, actually. But
yeah. Well past with Lord of the Rings.
Well past with Lord of the Rings. So, Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction.
Let's go talk about it. So first, content warning a little bit on this one. This movie has just so much profanity, and so much so that like referring to scenes is going to basically use profanity because it's not every other word statistically, but it's at least 40%, I would say. 30 to 40% of this movie is just profanity.
So before we get into it, actually, the first time I watched any of this movie, I caught like a good 45-minute chunk on broadcast television. Weird. So
it's weird that they broadcast television this. It would make sense that they would have.
But that's spooky. So with all of the swearing cut out, it's really hard to follow what's going on.
I bet. Oh my gosh. I would not be like, and like I am not a fan of profanity, generally, just as a human being, but it did add for this movie. Like it added the vibe and ambiance. Like this movie rooted for the bad guys, which we'll talk about a little bit more.
Yeah.
And like adding the amount of profanity that was in here it helped the movie at least.
Yeah.
So let's talk about
as far as recommendations, who would you recommend this to?
So I would recommend this to. So it's a very well done movie. So if you are like, hey, I've heard Pulp Fiction's really good, I want to watch it, but I'm not entirely sure if I should. As long as excessive profanity doesn't turn you off, then go for it. Really, like the violence here isn't awful. There's one or two scenes that I'm like, wow, that was intense. And just the nonchalance that they have towards violence and death in this movie also is a little bit weird. But if you're like, hey, I want to watch what is a good movie, like, and we'll talk about why the movie itself is good. I would recommend it, but it's not for the squeamish in really any dimension. There's no sex. Okay, well, there's no on-screen sex.
Yep.
Never mind. Yeah, no.
There's not a lot of nudity.
Thank you. There we go. That's what I was really going for.
I'll give you that.
There's not a lot of nudity.
There is some
very many other questionable things.
Yeah.
Content warning for a lot. If you're squeamish,
this is
maybe skip this episode.
Yeah.
And really any way. Like this one has rape. This one has graphic gore. This one has profanity. This one has desensitization towards violence. It has a lot of stuff. So
I suppose that last one I've already got down, at least in movies.
That makes sense. But like this one even made me question, like, oh wow, am I desensitized to this? I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's a very long recommendation. Who would you recommend it to?
I would recommend it to anyone who wants to understand the history of film and where things sort of took a very strong turn. This movie, I think, has a really interesting place in history. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit, I think. But as far as like understanding the time it came out and what movies were like before it versus what they were like after it, I think that it's essential for that. But as far as my asking if it belongs on the list, I have to preface this by saying this is one of my least favorite Quentin Tarantino movies.
Okay.
And that isn't to say that I dislike the movie.
Yeah.
I think it belongs on the list. definitely not as high as it is. But yeah, I mean, it belongs somewhere on there.
Totally.
And I think
maybe top 50. Not quite.
I'd put it top 100.
Top 100. Okay, good to know. There you go.
Yeah.
I really feel like we need to make that little ranking board so we can go and make our own version.
Yeah, and that might just be for us.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone benefiting from the video feed is going to really be able to see it. But
exactly.
Yeah, as far as this one goes, I have some criticisms that I will wait until we get to that part of the episode.
Appreciate that. So top 100.
Yeah.
I very much also agree that it should be on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I would agree that like technically it's probably better than Fellowship of the Ring. So just from that metric, it probably is around where it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll know better as we go along. It's better than a lot of the movies. I feel like it's actually very well situated. Like
Mm-hmm.
Schindler's List was better. 12 Angry Men like was very decisive and better. So right now I feel like it's in an okay spot myself.
Yeah.
But after I've seen more of them,
yeah. Well, and I wonder how much of this is I don't want to say necessarily tainted, but affected by the fact that I had already seen a lot of the movies that probably were changed by this one.
Totally.
And I had seen other Quentin Tarantino movies before this one. And so going into this one with some of the small issues that I have with it, I think I probably didn't get the experience that most of the people that went and saw this in the theater would have gotten.
Yeah, absolutely. When it came out.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, coming from your position where you've seen some movies,
yeah.
But my understanding is not a whole lot that would be kind of put into the vein of this particular film.
No.
Yeah.
Not quite.
So yeah, I think it's definitely something where if you've never seen anything like it, it's probably a completely different experience.
It's a very different experience.
So
it was fun to follow. So,
yeah.
Ratings.
Technical, I give this one probably. Are we including story structure in our technical rating?
Absolutely.
Okay. I give this one 7.5.
7.5.
Yep.
Alrighty.
For technical enjoyment, probably bump that up to an 8.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Alrighty. And you'll hear more about that later.
Yeah.
So I would put this one at 8.5 to 9 technical. I didn't like what they did with the lenses panning between certain shots.
Oh yeah.
That just threw it made me slightly nauseous.
Like the flashes
points.
or
the flashes, and also just when it didn't know where to focus, and the lensing on certain portions of whenever they switched scenes just threw me.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And so I didn't like that.
Yeah.
But I liked the story structure actually. I thought it was really cool, and stuff like that. So enjoyment, I'd probably only put it an 8 for enjoyment.
Okay.
It was riveting. You watch it the entire time. I don't know that I liked it. It's one of those I eat candy because it's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only benefit it really gives you afterwards. You're like, maybe that wasn't the best idea.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to get into some more serious spoilers at this point.
So if you made it this far, awesome. Appreciate it. We're going to do some spoilers. And again, there's going to be more content, weird stuff. But before we get to that, again, please like, subscribe, comment on these. Tell us what you do and don't like, because we'd like to do more of what you do like.
Yeah.
But let's go and get started. So this is the summary.
All right.
Who wants to go first this week?
I can do it.
Okay, you want to go first this week?
Yep. So this is a story of about 3 days, told from the perspectives of 3 different characters, and what is important to them in that period of time.
Okay. Yeah, that's not very pizzazzy. So
I mean,
I might have to pizzazz it up a little bit, and we'll take some of both of ours. Pulp Fiction is the story from 3 different perspectives. Totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly though from crime. Crime is the main thing here. So you got one of henchman for a crime boss. You've got one for a boxer.
Boxer.
Yeah, a boxer. And then a couple that's just robbing stuff. So you follow their journey over 3 days. There's lots of, and they're criminals. So you get lots of gunshots, lots of explosions, lots of death, and lots of death.
All right.
This one's a weird one, man.
So, it is a difficult.
Another way you could describe it, though, this is the story of a briefcase and a watch, and their journeys through the different people that get killed to have them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the butts that they inhabit.
Yep. Uncomfortable pieces of metal.
Very much. Uncomfortable pieces of metal. We don't know what's in the case.
Yes. So actually, that's something that has been debated a lot over the years. The theory that I like the best, and certain parts of it have been kind of disavowed, but the theory has never been discredited.
Yeah.
The theory is that Marcellus Wallace's soul is in the briefcase.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense.
Hence the combination being 666.
Yep.
The part that was discredited, though I don't necessarily think that it completely throws out the theory, is apparently in some folklore, your soul is extracted from the back of the neck.
Oh, okay, and he has a Band-Aid there.
And he has a Band-Aid there. Now, the real story behind that is he cut his head while shaving.
That's boring.
And
his soul leaked out.
And
put into a briefcase.
Quentin Tarantino saw the shot with the Band-Aid and went, that just looks cool.
That's just fantastic.
And so they kept it in. Ooh. That being said, I really like that as sort of the option for what's in his briefcase, because it's also the most interesting. Other ones are like, oh, it's some really good drugs, or it's, gold or something like that. And
the closest one that I would say, like, for my, I'm trying to think of anything that would give me the reaction of it's beautiful while you're at gunpoint.
Yeah.
With someone else.
Yeah.
Like, that's a difficult sensation to try and figure out what I would say, oh, that's beautiful too.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that it stops, and this is where the reactions are what make it. Like the fact that even, Vincent's character he might be a little out of it here and there, but for the most part, he's on the money.
Yeah, right? He's pretty consistent.
Yeah. He stops and isn't listening.
Yeah, he's gone.
When he's looking at it. And I think the fact that is his reaction, it has to be something impressive that you don't see in the everyday.
Could be his dirty laundry.
It could be his dirty laundry. You're not wrong. Yeah. So, out of curiosity, when you say the 3 perspectives, you see it from the perspective of the henchman as one, Mr. Butch
Boxy Boy
as the second, and Honey Bunny and Ringo as the third. Interesting.
Because there is the very beginning scene that is Honey Bunny and Ringo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit of a merge in that last scene with Honey Bunny and Ringo and Vincent and Jules.
I would heartily disagree with that.
Okay.
I think you're mostly right on the first one, but I think it's Vincent in the first perspective.
Okay.
It's
makes sense to me.
Butch in the second.
Makes sense.
And Jules is the third perspective.
Okay. How do you explain the first scene?
The first scene is the opener to the film. Yeah, it's kind of your umbrella plot, right? Okay. Not quite. I guess it's your parentheses.
Yeah.
Rather than your umbrella plot.
Opening parentheses.
Yeah. And so with Vincent, it follows the things that are important to him. He talked to Jules about his trip to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And then he goes in, has a conversation about foot massages and,
other things.
And then they go in, they kill some guys, and then he goes on a date with Marcellus Wallace's wife.
Mia.
And like the date gets a lot of screen time.
Yep.
And him hanging out with his friend gets a lot of screen time.
Agreed.
Then you go to Butch. Butch is pretty straightforward as far as like whose perspective we're watching.
Yeah, pretty easy.
Then you have Jules on the same day.
Yeah.
He starts out with a life-changing experience.
Yep.
Then you go from there to he just has a pretty shitty day.
Not good.
Where his partner is just driving him up the wall by not acknowledging the fact that he just witnessed a miracle, shooting the guy in the back seat of the car. Then he's got to go clean it out.
Yep.
And
he's also using a friend's house to do all of this.
Right, yeah. And then after that, you go and he goes to eat breakfast.
Yeah.
And all of his conversation, and then the robbery and everything. But everything that he talks about, basically from the time they go to breakfast on, is what happened
at the
first part and how that has changed his life.
Yeah.
And I think from that perspective, it's what's important to Jules. It's not about what happened necessarily. Just like Vincent's story completely skips over that.
Completely.
Because he doesn't
doesn't care. No, it's not important.
It's like, well, we just survived, I guess.
I guess that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that, he wasn't even in the restaurant for the part when everybody was getting stood up. He just kind of came in and watched Jules talk to a guy, and then they left.
Exactly. No, entirely.
It wasn't important to him. That's a very good
point. No, very, very good point. I like that, actually. Very much so. I will amend those the three perspectives.
Yeah.
Plus a 3.1 for the very first scene.
Also, with Vincent, I forgot the part where he goes and gets drugs. Because that's important to him as well.
Also important to him. And important enough that, that they cause him a very, very large conflict.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oof. There's a lot of recurring themes in this one.
Yeah.
Like, they mentioned shotguns at the very beginning, how they need shotguns.
Yeah.
And that's like a larger part of Butch's story at the end involves a shotgun.
Yeah.
And the whole foot massage thing, that literally comes straight up. Straight up.
What is that?
It was foot massage versus oral sex.
Oh, yeah.
And that very much just is a thing that shows up is oral sex in the Butch scene.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mirrors, also a lot of bathrooms.
Yes. Well, there is the running joke about Vincent can't go to the bathroom without something bad happening.
There's also the guy in the bathroom in that first scene.
Yeah. Bathrooms are always bad.
No, they're just not good here. That's true. He goes to the bathroom.
We gotta watch some Stanley Kubrick.
What's
Stanley Kubrick? He was a director that had a lot of films, but one thing that happened a lot is there was always something that went wrong in a bathroom. It's just, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, no, because you get the overdose, you get him getting shot.
Yeah. You
have him coming out and talking with Jules. You have him almost getting shot and having divine intervention happen.
Yeah.
Bathrooms are bad in this.
Bathrooms are at the very least bad for Vincent.
Very bad for Vincent. Yes.
So,
where is he keeping that book?
He's carrying it.
Okay, he wasn't carrying it when he was talking with Vincent. With Jules after he came out of the bathroom in the diner.
Yeah, he was.
Where?
He's carrying it by his side.
Oh, is it in his hand?
Yeah.
Oh, dang. I just didn't notice.
Yep.
That's sad.
Yeah, he's carrying the book with him everywhere.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. What did you think about as far as standout scenes or performances?
Yeah, no, totally. Everyone here had a really good performance. And good standout scenes. they added cool little scenes that were just like, oh, that's kind of nice, like the cab ride that Butch takes.
Yeah,
like, that's not necessarily.
Yeah,
and
that's actually something that bothers me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And specifically Butch's story. The main reason that this is my least favorite is I feel like Butch's story grinds the pace of the entire film to a halt.
Really?
Yes. I do not care about Butch. I find him frustrating more than anything else. I don't like him. Whereas, like, you're right that for the most part we're following bad guys through this. But Jules and Vincent, with both of them, I feel like we're following bad guys that I want to keep following.
Exactly, yes.
And with Butch, I'm like, you're just a jerk.
You're just not nice or good.
Yeah,
like,
and I don't know.
That's a very good point. Yeah,
he's frustrating for me to follow.
And he kills Vincent.
Yeah,
which is very sad. You get Vincent's perspective first, and then he dies. Very sad.
But yeah, like I watch him, I'm like, you deserve everything that you're getting in this.
And more.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just a jerk.
Yeah.
And I did notice this time, like, okay, he has like a little bit of a change of heart at the end. A little bit of a change of heart. But like, it's not enough for me to justify watching the entirety of his story where I just...
Yeah. I would agree with that.
No, I don't like him.
Yeah, he's not a relatable character.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. If you did cut out the middle half of the movie, you don't lose very much.
Yeah. And that's I think the other thing is I'm like, I don't want the middle half of the movie. I want to just watch the parts with Jules and Vincent. I want Jules and Vincent the movie.
Exactly. No, I want Jules and Vincent the movie as well, actually, because you don't see them in Butch's part.
Yeah, I mean, you see Vincent.
You see Vincent for a second. But we don't know. Like, if that was cut out, we wouldn't know that Vincent dies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And that would make you happier.
And that would make me a lot happier. So, petition to remove the Butch part, and Butch generally as a character, from Pulp Fiction. We'll go and release an edited version of the movie and not have any sort of copyright claims.
No one's ever going to watch an episode after this.
Oh,
yeah.
That was rough. Yeah. So I would agree that like generally, like in retrospect, I'm like, you could.
And I will temper this with the fact that I think that Bruce Willis did a great job.
He did do a great job
playing this character that I just didn't care about.
Yeah. No, I would agree.
And I mean, I wonder how much of this was also the shock value of Butch. Definitely has the most shocking segment of the film.
Oh no!
With the
brain got blown
with
in the back of a car.
Possible exception of Marvin in the car.
Poor Marvin. He's just vibing.
That's just. I don't know what it is about that scene. I can't watch it without laughing, and I feel like a bad person. But...
No, they do it on purpose. Vincent is in such strong denial that he has done anything like additionally wrong. He's like, yes, I said that I did something wrong. That doesn't cover it.
Yeah.
You literally destroyed this car, destroyed another human on accident. Like, how is this okay? This isn't okay. Stop. Like, it is a very funny scene.
Yes.
Goodness gracious. Vincent is a character.
Yep. I will say, I wonder how much of the love for this, even within Quentin Tarantino fans, is also because of the fact that it's probably the most comedic film that he's ever done.
Very.
Because like the comedy is fantastic.
It is really good.
But and the writing is on point as well. Like as far as the dialogue, it's
just so good.
Yeah,
it's like regular. Like I was watching this, and there are just some movies that no matter their age, you're like, no, that's just how people talk.
Yeah, generally. But it's more interesting than the way people talk.
Exactly.
Because I actually, when I was doing a lot of scripts, I loved the way that Tarantino wrote dialogue, and I was like, I want to be able to do that. So I studied a lot of the way that people talk, And it's really interesting. People tend to circle around a point until they kind of burn out and go to a new topic.
Interesting.
And so it's super unsatisfying when you write that down. No one cares about your dialogue because it just goes nowhere.
It just doesn't do anything. There's no payoff.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
So it is really interesting watching Pulp Fiction and any Tarantino movie, and his dialogue is fantastic to watch, and it feels real while you're watching it. I don't know why it does that. I never figured it out. But it isn't what I studied.
Yeah. No, that's so cool. No, I really did like the dialogue that was on point here. And again, I did like the character development. There was no character that like I was introduced to that I was like, oh, I don't care about you.
For me, it's Butch, but that's...
No, for sure. But they still developed his character.
Oh,
they just don't like the character.
Yeah, well, but just saying as far as characters I don't care about...
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point as well. I hope that he has... No, I don't really actually hope that he has a good life either. Dang. That butt watch. Oh my gosh.
I mean... I don't want the watch to be gone, right? I don't want the scene...
The watch was cool.
Where Christopher Walken comes in and tells him the story about what happened to the watch. I love that scene.
Exactly.
And I don't want that to be gone.
So all that we can reduce Butch down to is that scene, then him getting to the hotel and being like, where's my watch? And then... just a jump shot to here it is off of the jackal or whatever it is that he has it on. And then we cut to them riding on a bike away. How to get the bike? I don't care. It was his bike.
I mean, I also want to see him just bloodied holding a sword as well, though.
That was pretty good too. Yeah, actually, no, that's
a cool shot.
Also, it's a really cool shot.
Yeah,
that was a very unsettling section.
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna skip over that.
I think that's actually a really good idea. Like, as soon as they enter a shop for hardware, skip about 15 minutes forward.
Yeah, but also
no.
The conversation, the conversation at the end of
was
that
really good.
Yeah,
no, like it has a nice intensity.
Yeah,
and a good dialogue. Again,
I do love the tension between Butch and Marcellus Wallace while he is explaining what he's going to do to this guy.
Okay, but for us, like, that's all fine and good.
Yeah,
like, I understand, but how are we doing here? I just stole from you. So
you've lost your LA privileges.
You lost your LA privileges. There are some just really good one-shot lines in this.
Oh yeah, this movie is wildly quotable.
Yeah,
assuming you're in adult company.
Yes, absolutely. Goodness gracious,
that knows what you're quoting.
There's so much. I didn't really I haven't seen very much like younger Samuel L. Jackson movies, and so I didn't totally get the that's just his catchphrase. It's just what he says, and it's normal. And I'm like, you sure? But no, it's just normal. He just breathes and he says "motherfucker." That's just what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is something that has faded some with his involvement with the Marvel franchise. And he's done a lot of Capital One commercials and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, he has.
And so at this point, you see Samuel L. Jackson, it's not a guaranteed.
Yeah. Nope. Totally. Random. Do you know that no one likes Capital One because of how much the transaction fees are, which is why you often not see them accepted, and also American Express.
I thought that was American Express and Discover.
I think it's just American Express.
Okay.
So
cool.
All right. Did you have any stand-up scenes that you're just like, wow, this is a movie?
I think we covered most of them. I would like to. Oh, the scene where Samuel L. Jackson Jules is consuming a man's breakfast in front of him.
the power play there.
Love it.
I feel it was just such a, and it was because he felt disrespected. But it's such a large. If you're gonna kill this man, at least let him eat his breakfast.
And I mean, I think that whole scene is just wonderful.
It is really
like
good.
From start to finish. The tension while he does that and just stares him down as he drinks his entire Sprite, and then they have an entire conversation where Jules is asking him questions with a gun in his face, and he keeps responding,
"What? Say what one more time? I double dare you." What? Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I think that is a standout scene for me.
Absolutely.
Mixed in with just the incredible acting chops of Samuel L. Jackson. Like, it's just
so good.
Yeah.
I thought John Travolta did a very good, just generally high all the time person as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get
the chill one.
I didn't get the sense that he was always high necessarily. I got the sense that he was always like half there, but not necessarily because he was high, because that's just kind of who he is. He's not always connecting the dots.
Yeah. No, no.
So yeah, I think that's about. I mean, this movie is a collection of scenes. Really,
it is. It's just it's a day in the life of a couple people.
Yeah.
It's a slice of life. That's a slice that you didn't really order. You might want to return it a little bit later, but you'll consume it for now, and you'll probably enjoy it.
Your metaphors are lost on me at this point, so I'm just going to move on to themes.
It is not as good as blueberry pie. It is a slice of pie that I do not want at all times.
Okay. I understand. I'm still moving on to themes.
Perfect. It's a better idea.
Honestly, this movie doesn't have a whole lot of theme that I've noticed. I've seen it a few times.
Yeah.
There isn't really... I mean, for something to be a theme, at least in my mind, it doesn't necessarily need to have a moral, but it does have to have something that it's trying to convey.
Yeah.
And I don't think, at least for my money, that this is trying to convey anything.
The only moment that I feel like it's trying to convey something, and therefore I'll try and extrapolate it backwards, is when Jules is talking with Ringo at the end and going over the Bible passage that he has memorized.
Yeah,
and
which isn't a real Bible passage.
No, I was like, also it's really long for one verse.
Yeah.
I would know. So anyway, he's talking with him and explaining what the value is there.
Yeah.
And I kind of get that that's like, I feel like that's something that he was trying to say. It's generally a similar concept of all generally good movies of like, hey, we're all choosing this.
Yeah.
Hey, like this is, the world is a certain way, you can interpret it however you want, but you're always making a choice.
Yeah.
And
I will say, since you brought that up, I do really like his final interpretation of the other man being the weak.
Yes.
And him being the tyranny of evil men.
Yep.
And it's such an interesting way to look at all of the characters that we've watched throughout the film.
Yeah.
As like being not even people. They're the force of evil.
Exactly. Like they are doing evil's bidding.
Yeah. And that's just, it's very, very interesting to look at it from that perspective.
Absolutely.
But I think it starts to fall apart if you look at it too closely. Like on the surface level, sure.
Cool. We'll take that as a theme. Just don't think about it.
But as far as like, you look at, for example, the way that Vincent's story wraps up, where he and Mia just kind of decide they're not going to tell Marcellus Wallace that she overdosed on his heroin.
Yep.
Like, that doesn't really line up with anything
like
thematically.
I feel like you're right technically, but I also feel like that is still just showing more of like they are a product of what they've created. Like they got themselves into a problem that they then fixed. And no one needs to know the repercussions. Like they are the repercussions. This is a byproduct of how they have chosen to live their life.
Yeah. I suppose looking at it as it works, but again, if they are a force, then it's not necessarily about them as people. It's about them as
that entire thing was chaotic. Like that was a force of evil and chaos. Like
yes, but that was
self-contained.
But that was not
very self-contained.
That was not them, right? They were not the force of chaos and evil. You could make the argument that the heroine was, or that
who bought the heroin?
He bought the heroin
with money made from
murdering people.
Yeah, from being evil, from being the force of evil. That was force of evil money. That's where I'm going to keep that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would agree generally, though. There isn't one that you can just point to and be like, yeah, that's the theme of this. I feel like it was very much just a slice of life. Like, hey, there was a few different events that lined up in all of these people's lives, and we're going to tell the story about it.
Yeah. Well, and that is actually really interesting because it is in large part, not entirely, but in large part, it's about these three characters only as they interact with each other, and a little bit of Marcellus.
And also, again, at the beginning and the end, as kind of a catalyst.
Yeah. But, I mean, as far as, like Vincent just came back from Amsterdam. He's only there for, like, a couple of days before he's murdered. Jules has left the life.
Yeah.
And
they tried to set
Butch is leaving LA.
Yeah, and also they're trying to set up, again, I can't remember them, the Lie to Me guy, and
Eli Roth?
Yeah, Eli Roth, and I can't remember his character.
Ringo.
Ringo and
Honey Bunny.
Thank you.
Or Yolanda.
Yolanda. Oh yeah, she was Yolanda as well. Yolanda, are we cool? I loved Samuel L. Jackson's metaphors though. This entire time. It was so good. Jules was a very well made character.
Yeah,
but he also tried to try and get them out.
He was actually written for Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So Quentin Tarantino wrote Reservoir Dogs, and Samuel L. Jackson came in and came in for the casting call, and Tarantino's like, I don't have a part that fits you,
but I'm gonna make
one.
I'm
working on it. I'll make you one. So that's what Jules fantastic. Is. Jules was built for Samuel L. Jackson.
He did it perfectly. Like he did so well with that. So the only bad guy, quote unquote, that we see die that we follow, like there's a few bad guys that die otherwise.
Yeah.
Is poor, sadly, Vincent.
Yeah.
Otherwise, though, everyone lives to go and do their merry, evil, or good deeds.
Yeah.
Wander the earth.
Yeah. Yeah. Walk the earth.
Walk the earth.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, this is a movie that weirdly has a lot to unpack, and I still feel like there isn't...
nothing there.
Yeah. It's little things. It's little things that are scattered all over, and I think it's why it's so much fun to rewatch. Absolutely. And it is something that, like, I recommend people rewatch this.
Yeah.
But
I'd go and rewatch this one.
It's not something that I've ever felt blew me away. It's packed with all of these tiny little things that are just breadcrumbs through the whole movie. And yeah, I don't know.
We have confused Vincent. I always wanted to see where that meme came from. And now we have it. I love it. Lost Vincent. Being an old man trying to figure out where the intercom is. I feel like Vincent feels like he's a 60-year-old person in a 20 or 30-year-old body.
Yeah.
It's a $5 milkshake. I don't know if those were $5, but it was good.
Those are modern day prices, is what you told me.
Exactly, because they were. We were looking at milkshakes today, and they were $7. That's only $2 more than $5, and this was made 20 years, almost 30 years ago. Like,
yeah,
I'm almost 30, because it came out in '94, and I was born in '95. Jack in the Box still existed. Like, existed back then.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So did McDonald's and Burger
McDonald's
King.
I knew. That's gonna fray here forever.
And Big Kahuna Burger.
I don't know if that one exists. Does it? We should go and look up a Big Kahuna
So
Burger
this is a Tarantino staple. Is these fake companies that he has created simply for his
movie.
He's talked about how he hates the idea of product placement in his films.
Oh, that makes sense.
And so he places his own products that don't exist. That's fantastic. Big Kahuna Burger.
Does have
a delicious burger.
And Honda. Acura and Honda. You got cars in there.
That's true. That's true. But Red Apple cigarettes, those are his too. There's another one I think that he has put into some of them. Maybe not. Anyway, there are also a lot of fun connections to Kill Bill, which I assume have not seen yet.
I haven't seen that one yet either.
But yeah, so this one does have some fun connections though.
I'm excited for that.
So
that's gonna be really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Anyway, next episode's film is Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Have you seen it?
No.
I have.
That's the answer for most of the movies on this list.
That's true. But that's also the answer on your end for most of the movies on this list.
Exactly. So, for the next 2 or 3 years, you're gonna just be saying, "Yeah, I've seen that movie." And maybe for the entire series, you're gonna be able to say, "I've seen that movie."
Unless we get to, I can't remember which one's higher up, but Cinema Paradiso or Grave of the Fireflies before I see them.
Exactly.
Then, I'll be saying
not forever.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So,
anything else you prepped for?
Starts out. It is a slow-paced movie at the beginning.
Cool.
So, if you need some caffeine, then go for it. But nothing too harsh or anything. I think it's great. That is. How do we end this? Like clapping my ass cheeks.